invasion by Great Britain. 1840, quinine was developed, and the abolitionist movement was in full swing. So Boston, Philadelphia, New York, high, big business, big commerce. So for him to divorce himself and move to an area of serenity and peace and calm was a conscious decision that most people couldn't even understand.
And even for us today, it's an incredible example that we can consider and follow, and one which in some ways resonates even more strongly for us because it's purely homegrown, in the sense that he presents it to us as a story that unfolds completely in United States terminology and on American soil. So that's part of its incredible power.
Okay, so now tie that back to the journey.
Okay, give me a second to compute that, will you please? How about you take a stab?
So I'm going to take one little stab at it. I'm curious, and I don't know if anyone has the answer here, either Joe or George, Dr. Love, but I'm wondering about the connection between, or connections between Thoreau and Emerson. I wonder whether, in addition to nature, whether Emerson wasn't to some degree a master or a teacher for Thoreau, and how that worked. Because I have to say, every time I look at a writing of Emerson, I get more and more impressed with the depth of his teachings and realization. And I wonder whether he wasn't in some way or another
I'm sure there was influence.
Yeah.
Clearly there was influence. I don't know how much interaction they had.
Well, I think as a practical matter, there was quite a bit that Thoreau lived for a couple of years in Emerson's house. Immediately before he went off to Walden Pond, he was hired to teach Emerson's children.
Okay.
So there was a deep connection there,
Yeah.
and I think that you're right. There is.
Sorry, it would be interesting to know, to be a fly on that wall, which, yeah.
Well, I will grant you that that's certainly, seems to be part of the mix, but part of what's so striking to me, with Walden Pond still so fresh in my mind, is how conscious Thoreau is of describing what, in some ways, we see in Zen literature too, the idea of casting off the master, killing the master, because part of the discovery of awakening is the realization that you can let go of those props and stand on your own on the spiritual journey. So one of the unique qualities, not unique, but one of the qualities I strongly noticed in Walden Pond are these places where Thoreau expresses the idea that I'm going on this journey without any reliance on historical spiritual antecedents, that I don't need the Vedas, I don't need the sutras, all I need is my own two eyes to go out into the natural world. That's an incredibly powerful message.
That's very, very powerful. Okay, so now I want to go back to Colonel Olcott, who decided that he wanted to raise money to rebuild Buddhist monuments in India that had been ostensibly destroyed by the Muslim invasion. And it brought awareness and self-esteem to the Indian people, who still held on to Buddhist ideals even under a Muslim government. Okay? So if we work backwards, we're still journeying to the West.
Well, as we joked before we started today's program, we really all are on that journey. And for us in the United States, the journey to the West means we look to China and India For those in China, the journey to the West meant that they looked to China at one point.
China.
To India.
Yeah.
And for those in India, if they were journeying to the West, I guess they were
Going to Africa, yeah.
well, going to Africa, and also there's that vector where the Aryan culture moved up from Indian civilization to be an important influence on the founding of Indo-European civilization. So the journey to the West from India to both to Africa and to Europe as well. So.
Okay, that needs to be explored. Okay, so you have a question?
Well, I just wanted to make note of the fact that each of us, like Thoreau, is on his or her individual journey, but I'm liking how, in addition to that, we are part of a collective set of journeys that Dr. Love, you're bringing forward in terms of some of your historical perspective. That's all.
And all of a sudden I'm getting a flash that the three of us are the companions
of Monkey King. So I'm glad we're coming back to Monkey King. Well, I'm most aware of how each of those companions had their own set of faults.
Character flaws, yeah.
Character flaws. The hope is that as a team, the Monkey King and the three companions can somehow help to bring the journey, the monk, the priest, bring the journey forward.
Right.
Well,